listen? Do you want to know a secret? Do you promise not to tell? Whoa, whoa.
Tonight I'm going to show you how to do one of my favourite curries. And it's almost a travesty to call it a curry because, of course, in India that's not what we would call it, but it's courgettes or marrows done in a real home style, which means 15 minutes and no more than 3 spices. This is very typical of Indian home cooking. So we start with a bit of oil in the pan, just enough. If you just have a look at how much oil I use, there is so little, it's just enough to plunge your spices in, basically. The first spice that we're going to use, while you're down there, have a look at this. These little nuggets are called fenugreek seeds. It's called methi. Now, methi is the spice that they use in a lot of British Indian restaurant meat dishes. And what it does is it's kind of all talk and no trousers. It gives a lot of the kind of curry smell, but not a huge amount of flavour. So it's very powerful in a way. It gives you a real scent of curry, but it's not going to do a heap to your tongue. But with these kind of, I'm going to do courgettes, remember, they're kind of flaccid, fairly demanding vegetables, and methi works very, very well with them. So we've dropped some methi seeds into the hot oil. Now be careful with methi, you can see it starting to bubble. Now what you don't want is for them to go very dark brown because they burn very easily. So just for a second you drop them into the oil. Then you go in with your next spice, which is asafoetida, which is hing in Indian. Asafoetida is a ground resin, and again it's a very, very okay, I'm going to use the word pungent, but not in a bad way. It's a very strong spice. It's kind of the heavy artillery using methi and asafoetida together. And again, they suit these kind of lifeless vegetables that need, culinary babysitting. As soon as the hing's gone in, the asafoetida, we go in with our courgette pieces, roughly cut, or marrow. Drop them in and stir the pan just to prevent the seeds at the bottom catching any more than they are. And that is the body of this dish done. So what we're going to wait for is for the vegetables to soften, so we put it onto a low heat. And then you're into your closing stages of the curry. It's as simple as that. As we've dropped our vegetables in, there's going to be a little bit of release of water from the courgette. So we can go in with our third and final spice, and that is turmeric. So a little bit of turmeric in. That's very typical of any Indian vegetable dish. Stir that in, and then you're going to put it onto a low heat. You can either cover it or partially cover it, but remember this is a vegetable that's going to release a lot of water. And once the vegetables are soft, we complete the dish with very typically Indian finishing flavours. So at this stage we've used the spicings, we then let the dish do its own magic in the pan, and it's only at the very end when the vegetables are almost ready that we think about what flavours we want to get to enhance those vegetables. So far so simple. I think the hardest part for you in this video is going out and having the nerve to buy the asafoetida and buy the hing, but please do, because I'll do a series on them, vegetables that work with these 2 spices, and this is where you really are getting into the Indian home kitchen. This is real authenticity in vegetable cooking. And what's great about authentic vegetable cooking in India is that it's very quick and simple. Okay, this is a pan I did a little bit earlier, and as you can see, the courgette has started to release a lot of water, and that's because I have already added a little bit of salt. Once you put salt into dishes, water starts to flood out of the main ingredient. So now we need this dish just to dry up a little bit. I put my salt in. The next flavour that we need to consider is a little bit of sweet, and I have to say a hint of sweet really suits these marrow courgette dishes. So a bit of sugar goes in, Now I'm coming right to the end of the dish. I'm going to wait for the waters to evaporate a bit, for the dish to become a bit drier, and then at the very end I'm going to add something a little tart, just to lift the dish a bit and give it a bit of a sharper edge, and that will be a squeeze of lemon, or if you have it, in India what they often use is dried green mango powder. Okay, this dish is beginning to dry out, so just come and have a look at this. And you know we're nearly done now. Now you will have noticed that I didn't put any chilli in this dish, just because I didn't really fancy a hot curry tonight. If you want, in the opening stages, when you put the oil in, drop a couple of dried chilies in, or even some chopped green chilies if you want to give it a bit of heat. Now, the last finishing flavour, we've had the salt, we've had a bit of sweet, is a bit of lemon. So you put a good squeeze of lemon in, and this is all to taste. Remember, Indian cooking is not bound by the kitchen scales and the measuring spoons. You just keep tasting it and just see where you want it to go. And we are done. And I wanted to just show you the way that we would ordinarily serve this. I didn't have any chapatis in, and I'm not going to make them. And so what I had is a tortilla. It is just the most divine curry. It is, I think, one of my favourite curries. You would just run it down the centre of a tortilla or a chapati, and that's how you would eat it.